Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking. So always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you tuned in consciously and conscientiously to Eye on Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy. The ambassador of joy. And you tuned in for one reason only, because you care the most in the entire world about you. YOU. And that's great because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And you're about to be meeting one of the most energetic, uplifting, highly successful people I've ever had the pleasure. And before we bring on amazing Mark, I just want to mention to you something. I am privileged to travel around the world a number of times, and many places I go, I mention two words. People lean in and they want to hear more. And these two words are Las Vegas. So let me tell you something about Las Vegas. The reason I have this podcast, because Las Vegas is the epitome of energy, of growth, of creativity, of making things happen. Yeah, of course we have gambling, but you got shows, you got all kinds of wondrous things happening here. Let me tell you something about Las Vegas. It's fascinating. If you take the entire population of New York City and everything around it, the entire population of Chicago and everybody around it, the entire population of Los Angeles, everybody around it, add them all together, it doesn't equal the number of people that come to Las Vegas in a year. 41 million people come here in a year. You know why? Because it makes a difference. This is a mad town called about making a difference. Talking about making a difference, I'm going to introduce you to one of the most fascinating, ebullient, bountiful, beneficial people you'll ever have the chance to meet. He is Mark Young. Mark, please say hello. 511,922 people around the world.
Well, I feel like I have to say hello. You're tough act to follow, Barry.
No, you know something? It is, because that's what we are. We are on fire here. I in Las Vegas is all about rising expectations, rising people's insight into the world. And I'm going to tell three things about Mark, and then I'm going to let him speak. He is the founder of an amazing organization called RISE, the RISE Agency, and it's spelled RYZE, or for those of you who don't want to do it that way, RYZE. And it's all about, he's an entrepreneur, he's an educator, and he's really about how people can use talcum powder in their business. And he's going to say to me, what are you talking about, Barry? But you'll know in just a moment when I ask you, wonderful Mark. So let's just discuss and embrace right away something from his new book called Radical Generosity. And Mark, Radical Generosity. By the way, I'm going to urge everybody, do not take notes. Everything about Mark is going to be in the show notes. Just lean in and feel the experience of this fellow, this black-haired, thick, rich-haired fellow. Watching, if you're only listening, take my word for it. He has it. Okay, so Mark, let's just jump right in and discuss one of the things that you and I want to talk about right away, and that's about this remarkable word called giving. How do people use giving incorrectly, I'll say?
How do they use it incorrectly? Well, Barry, let me say this. I don't know that I think people use giving incorrectly, but I think they define giving incorrectly is my hypothesis. And it's one of the things in writing. First of all, can I tell you, like, your introductions are absolutely incredible. So congratulations on that. To anybody listening, I mean, it's like so entertaining to just listen to you talk at normal levels, much less when you're trying to be entertaining. But so this idea of giving and generosity, as I've written about it, is I think people have a tendency to think of giving as being a financial transaction. And everything I say about my life, like, I refuse to be transactional in anything. Like, everything I do is relationship based. I don't want to be transactional. Like, sure, I'll sign contracts with a client, but I assure you that we're going to go far above and beyond, because I'm only doing business with you because I like you. And if I don't like you, we're not going to do business together anymore, because that's just foolish to me. So this idea of generosity, I think it gets poorly defined, to be honest with you. I think there's a nuance to it that people say generous or they say giving, and these dollar signs start appearing in their head. And in my head, it's always like those little gold money bags that have the big dollar sign on the outside. Maybe those are like Apple phone gifts or something that do that to me, but I end up emojiing my way into this idea. But I mean, one of the things that I learned a lot, even through this writing, was the fact that my kind of giving, like, sure, I'll give financially, that's fine. But the ways that actually we tend to lean into, you know, rich people should be giving more or paying more and your fair share kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting concept, because every single one of us, you, me, and everyone listening right now, gets 24 hours per day, 0 exceptions. Okay, so who should be giving more time? Yeah, and the answer is, well, if we're all supposed to be giving,
the most valuable of all assets.
Correct, because it expires at the end of every day. Like that resource goes away as soon as I close my eyes at night. Like the day is done, never to be repeated. And the question is what are we giving in that respect? And I'll add to that and say, what are we giving in terms of our wisdom? You know, to those of us who are business owners, or to those of us who are, you know, maybe more educated or more seasoned or older, or just have lived different experiences. Like, how are we helping people with our wisdom? How are we being generous even in the relationships that we have? Like, how often I had to physically I've got my cell phone with me in my conference room talking to you, and I literally turned it upside down and put it face down on the table, because I'm like, I don't want to not be generous. If I've committed this time to you, Barry, I want my phone face down and on mute, because I don't even want to see a notification pop up that could even take a fraction of my bandwidth away from the attention I want to pay to you. And here's the deal. I'm talking to you on a podcast. Like, how often do people do that when they're out to dinner with their spouse or a child who comes home and says, Dad, I need help, and the phone rings? And then dad's got to make a decision between the telephone or the kid who needs help on a math problem. And the dad may be like, look, this is work calling, the math problem will wait. It's not that big of a deal. To the kid, you prioritized something over me. And, you know, and lastly, I'm going to say that there's that fifth phase of generosity that I think often gets left out. And that is this idea that we need to be generous with ourselves. That, you know, flight attendants tell you to put your own oxygen mask on before helping other people in the plane. How in the world am I able to give out of a cup that's empty? And I think we often, and I'll dig deep into this, man. Like, I'd go all day on this topic. But
pause for a moment, because I want to unpack. We have, thank God, a worldwide audience, and everybody. I know people are leaning in. I urge you again, don't take notes. Just experience Mark Young, or I'll call him Young Mark, and the fifth even as well or better, and just remember, you want to share this with 5 people. If you want to share with 50 or 100, that's great, but at least 5 people, so we can touch millions around the planet, because we have 500,000 people listening right now. Mark is giving to us, willingly giving. See, this is why I want to use that term, because I'm wholeheartedly agreeing with you. And from my perspective of life, business has 2 T's. It is transactional. However, it is really transformational. Because when I work with Rise Agency, I'm not doing it because it has a price tag to it. If I did that, then I might work with the cheapest one. Doesn't matter what the price is beside the point. If that's a transaction, however, I'm coming because I believe that it's a transformational process. And what you are describing, if I'm not wrong, please correct me if I am, is that willingly giving, putting the phone down, making sure you're focused, being present, willingly giving enables the other person to understand that they can graciously receive.
I'm kind of laughing here, Barry, because when you literally stole the words out of chapter 1 of Radical Generosity. And that literally is this idea of transactional versus transformational generosity. And that is when we give with intent. And I'm going to go one step further and say when we give in alignment. And that's a word that I really want to hammer home for people. And it was something it took me a long time to learn, because one of the things I think people hate about giving for whatever, whether it's financial, whether it's, relational, whatever, is that when you're giving out of alignment with yourself, and that is your core values have to be in alignment with the things you're giving to, else it's always going to be a transaction. And I can't charitably contribute to an organization that I don't believe in the cause. I can't charitably give time to a person to whom I don't see value in what I'm sharing, right? There's no reason for me to give business advice to a third grader, right? That doesn't make sense. Like, it's a poor stewardship of the resources I've been given. And I think that's one of the ways that people get super defeated with giving. They feel used, they feel exploited. They feel like they've been taken advantage of somehow because, I gave to this person and they never even thanked me. And it's like, well, it wasn't about the gratitude. And if it was about the gratitude, you were out of alignment when you gave it. So shame on you.
Okay, I need to put you on pause. Again, we have people all around the world. They're leaning in, they're on the edge of their seat. And what you are describing, Mark, is, again, in my humble opinion for the moment, the American ideal. This is what we've brought to the world. Everybody in the world wants to live in America. They don't necessarily need to live in this physical, geographical boundary country. They want to live the American ideal, which is what you're talking about. The American ideal is willingly giving, graciously receiving, in alignment. And when you can do that, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, because you will attract bounty and goodness, because that's who you are. You are that fountain. Am I correct on that?
I 100% agree with you. That it is 100% true that people want to live in a state where generosity and giving flows, and it doesn't ebb and flow. It just flows.
This is he's so good. It just flows, right? Forget about the ebb and flow. Ebb can go over where he wants to, because we live in a digital world. People are either drains or they're fountains.
Yes.
I like the fountain called Mark Young. Come on, baby. I want to keep flowing.
So I love this topic, Barry, and I'll tell you what, like, it took me a lot of years to get to the point that I was really, and I think we're all works in progress, obviously. So our core values are relatively consistent, but I believe life experiences can change some of that stuff, right? Like, you have a child and like your core values change. Like, now it's a little bit different than it used to be. And I will tell you, one of the things that for me anyways I used to feel like I was a person who felt like I was obligated to give as often as I should. And the fact that the word obligated even showed up in the conversation was a problem. But when I actually got a chance to go, wait a minute here, like, why does this giving feel different from that giving? Because I would give freely to you, but why does it feel like a chore to give to this organization? Or how is supporting this feel different from supporting that? And it actually, of all the goofy things, took a Tony Robbins conference for me.
Oh, 1 second. He just said the magic word. The duck came down. We're going to win $100. We have sponsors that love our show. We're going to go to a 44-second break. Don't go away. There'll be more Mark on the other side of this, and he's going to tell us a Tony Robbins insight from life. Be right back.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day. beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Mark Young. He really is Young Mark. And he's just about to tell us what made a mark in his life when he went to a Tony Robbins event and he realized that you can move from obligation to opportunity if your mindset is correct. So where are we with Tony Robbins, Mark?
Well, I got to tell you, I've never been that Tony Robbins fanboy. I've just been kind of Tony Robbins agnostic. And a friend of mine invited me to go to a date with destiny, and that's the Tony Robbins where everybody cries. And so I went to the Tony conference, and there was a challenge throughout the week-long 6 days or whatever it is at the conference. And one of the challenges was defining your core values. And I'll tell you what, in my experience, what I thought were my core values going in, and I had to write them down and then defend them and then define them. And you go through all these exercises, and man, Barry, I got to tell you, I was sold. I knew what my values were. And probably day 5 of that event, I don't know what happened, but something flipped. And it was all of a sudden my values completely flipped on their ears. And several of the ones that I thought were values of mine just aren't, to be honest with you. They just aren't. And it's my values went from success and security and respect and these very corporate minded things. And my top 3 values now, or what? I mean, I've got 6 is what I define, but it's they were love and relationship, they were impact, and whimsy. And I'm how funny that whimsy turned out to be one of my top 3 values, right? I'm that's why I'm jiving with you here, buddy. But the fact, I just want to laugh. I want to do things that bring joy, that bring cheer, that do this. Yeah, seriously. And all of a sudden, when I started walking through generosity and defining this, I couldn't not include that story even in this book, because when we're giving, if we're giving within alignment of our values, it doesn't feel like giving. It feels like participating.
Okay, again, I'm putting him on pause because it's good to have these pieces come in, let people sit with them for a moment. The reason I ask you not to take notes is because this is recorded. The genius of recording. Hello, come back again. You control the time. Now you can write things down and go faster, go pause and such like that. And the real trick of life, the real hack is listen a third time. Wow, the third time, be able to internalize, utilize, and leverage it, because Mark is giving us such wonderful things here. The ability to move, first of all, to articulate supposed core values. Let's be blunt. They were core values when you walked in, and to be able to work with them, refine them, reduce them, shift them, keep that F in place so the other stuff happens, shift them, and then realize, wait a minute, my real core values, who I am, so I can be the best me, which means I can be a madman. MAD is a wonderful acronym, Mark. It stands for make a difference. You're a madman. Let me tell you a great, what joy stands for. You ready? Journey of you.
Ooh.
Whoa, pretty strong, huh? Okay,
I love it.
Here we are. You've been able to be with yourself amongst hundreds of other people in the room.
Right.
With yourself. Right.
Me and 6,000 of my closest friends.
Right. Think who you think you are. Work with yourself. Shift. Kept that F in place. And moved and recognized who you really are. Yeah. And I want to hear, now you mentioned 3 top core values. And one of them, by the way, people think of whimsy or laughter or happiness or joy as, oh yeah, that's a nice thing. That's a byproduct. I think I'll enjoy that when it comes. And you and I both know that if you work with that mindset, and mindset is everything, isn't it, Mark?
100%.
It's your
absolutely 100%.
Can I tell you, I wrote down during the break an acronym for your name. May I give it to you? May I share it with you?
I want to hear it.
Mark, M-A-R-K. Mindset attracts rewarding knowledge.
Ooh,
Oh, even I like that one.
that was pretty fun.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's yours. I call fun the ultimate FU four-letter word. FU,
Totally.
FU, capital N, capital N. So you were mentioning now you've been able to work on core values, and tell us what's happening here with leading with your heart. Now that you,
Oh gosh. Yeah. So I'm gonna go off the reservation here on you, Barry, because a friend of mine sent something to me the other day, and it was actually it was an interview with Dr. Zach Bush. I don't know if you know who that is. He's an industry leader in the longevity and functional medicine space, and I love Zach. Know him personally. He's a great guy. But aside from that, so my friend sent me this thing, and they were talking about the vibration that a person puts out, the energy that people deliver, and they can actually measure, like when you're experiencing emotions, how genuine those emotions are and how much energy you emit when you do that. And they talk about what is the highest vibration emotion, and it's always been believed that the highest vibration of emotion is love. That when we're in the midst of love, and that doesn't necessarily mean romantic love, that doesn't mean sexual erotic love, like just when we're experiencing true connection with somebody, we actually emit at a higher frequency than anything else. And Zach was talking, and he's like, but here's the funny thing. And he goes, there was a study that was done not too long ago, and I'm going to connect some dots here. And he started explaining that we emit at the highest frequency when we're experiencing the emotion of love. And he goes, and yet there were blips on the radar when they were actually monitoring this emission. And he said that were 8 times what love was outputting. And love was always believed to be the highest emission frequency. And he's like, but then all of a sudden we were noticing these spikes that were coming out of people. And he said, and we actually had to go back because we're not detecting anything that's specifically different. When they went back, rolled tape, did the research over and over and over again, they found that at the moments that spike happened, that 8x on love, was actually at moments that they called congruence. And that is when alignment. It's exactly right. That when a person actually acted in alignment, which also includes love, but when everything about that person's conversation and that person's emotions were in alignment, which means they were congruent with their true selves, meaning that they were actually personally, I will say, immersed in their own core values in that moment, and everything aligned, that the energetic vibration that they were putting off was 8 times what the release was when they were just feeling, hear me, love. And I was like, how incredible. And I immediately, like, my buddy sent this to me, and I was like, dude, like, this is incredible science, right? And I love Zach, and like all of the things were great. And I'm like, that's so weird, because I think back to when I thought my values were one thing, which were all good things, by the way. It's not like I valued killing puppies or something. Like my values were all great values. Like they were all good. But it was like when I actually, like, I was never going to 8x my vibration in those values, because even if I achieved them, they weren't my core.
Because I'm going to ask you this, and I think you'll agree. When you went in, those values, as you said, good, those were extrinsic. When you got to the time of shift to your core values, they became intrinsic. They became you. You were bringing out your true alignment.
Well, and I'll walk you through, like, so the top values that I had going in was that I believed that success was my number one value, and security was my second, and respect and personal development and impact on the world. Like, I believe, like, generosity and stuff, and relationships. But the problem is those ones were 5, they were 6. They the top ones were the ones that really lead us in all of our decisions. And when I started going through this, like when I redefined my values, and I hold to them to this day, redefining those values. My top one was love and connection, like people first, relationships first. My business is, we're Rise Agency, relationships matter. Like that is literally the tagline of this business. And my second one is impact and generosity. Like I've got a mentor and friend of mine who actually uses the phrase that the currency of success is impact. And
who said that? I like that.
Michael Fishman.
Woo!
And he says the currency of success is impact. I'm like, man, do I live by that now? Because my number 2 value under relationships is impact. So, and think about it this way, Barry, and that is when I went into this conversation, success was my number 1 value, but I didn't define how success was ever going to be reached. When I changed those values, impact is how I view success now. So success isn't off my chart. It's redefined and on my chart with a very tangible way that I can impact the world. And then, like I laugh and tell you, my number 3 now is whimsy. I love to laugh, dude. Like I'm hilarious. And I absolutely will share a laugh and a joke on anybody imaginable because I believe that it genuinely is the best medicine, right? I love endorphin releases in my brain. And I don't know who wouldn't. But my 4th value is personal development. It is a constant strive to always be better than I was yesterday. At anything in any way, I want to top yesterday. Like, and it's not out of selfish ambition. It's literally like if I lifted certain amount today at the gym, I want to try to do 5 pounds more today. Like
it's because you want to be impactful for the world, for others.
And it's just a matter of growth. It's about challenging mediocrity in my world. My 5th one is faith, because I believe without faith, it's all irrelevant. And my 6th one is gratitude. And I'm going to tell you, gratitude has always been a challenge for me, because when you're a person where your 4th value is development and always getting better, sometimes being grateful for where you are is tough.
Woo! Okay, we got stuff to unpack here. I'm going to throw
You're killing me.
And then I need to say words that I'm going to loathe. So everybody talks about AI these days, right?
Yeah.
So AI really stands for always improving.
Ooh, I like that too.
Now, let me give you an acronym for your agency, RISE, because you just gave it to me. You ready? RYZE. Resilience yields zestful enthusiasm.
Ooh, I like it.
Relationships yield zestful enthusiasm. That's what you are. I'm about to say these words, and I don't like it, but here we are, close to our time together today. I have 3 quick questions for you, Mark. You ready?
Yeah, do it.
1, will you come back again?
Oh my gosh, in a heartbeat. You're a riot.
Thank you. Number 2, Mr. Mark Young, you only have 80 seconds to answer this question. What is your most fervent desire?
Wow, I'm going to say to have impact, to be honest with you, to build relationships, to be remembered. I use this phrase in Radical Generosity, and that is, what is the story that will be told about me when I'm no longer here to control the narrative? And that's very important. When I'm not the storyteller anymore, what story is going to be told? And that's what I strive towards. How can I be a person who's remembered in a positive way? And how can I be a person who's remembered for the impact that I've had on the lives and the people in the world around me, so that when I'm not here anymore, that continues to go on? And that's legacy, I guess, Barry.
Beautiful. And number 3, may I give you a hug in front of 513,927 people around the world?
I would love it.
Okay, let me tell you what HUG stands for.
Tell me.
Heartfelt, unlimited giving.
I love it.
1, 2, 3.
Hug, hug, hug.
And remember, you're listening to Eye on Las Vegas with your host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy, Remember to share this with 5 people because they're going to be so thankful to you to share with 5 people. Want to do 50 or 100, it's up to you. Give us at least 5. Love us on Spotify and Apple. Don't just like us, love us. And remember, this show is all about you. Not Mark, great guy that he is. Not Barry, fabulous fellow. It's about you becoming the best you. Because when you are the best you make the world a better place, build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love. And a blessing from Mark and Barry. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Mark, don't go away.